Good evening, this is Brass Tacks. I'm Zakka. Jacob, there have been CBI raids at the house of Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia. It's been over 12 hours now. The CBI is conducting searches in the Delhi excise scam, where the allegation is, and the charge against Sisodia is, he changed the excise policy to favour private players. That caused massive loss to the exchequer. The CBI's case is also that some of the proceeds of the crime from these private players has gone back to the public officials, not just Sisodia, but there was the excise commissioner, the deputy excise commissioner, who were all in service at that time. Some of the proceeds of this crime have gone back to these public officials as quid pro quo. The Aam Aadmi Party has hit back, saying that the BJP is doing this because it cannot match Delhi's model of education or its model of health. That is why this is nothing but pure political vendetta. Arvind Kejriwal, the Delhi Chief Minister, also came live today and he said that the fact that Manish Sisodia is being raided and his house is being searched on the very day that the New York Times, no less, has put out an article about Delhi's education system simply shows how insecure the BJP and the central government are and how they are interested only in settling political scores. But first, the story of the day so far as Delhi's Deputy Chief Minister got raided.
Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia declared that a team from the Central Bureau of Investigation had landed up at his house. The probe agency filed an FIR on the now scrapped Delhi excise policy and named Sisodia as an accused. Apart from Sisodia, the CBI also raided former excise commission officials in multiple locations.
It was 8:15 in the morning when it all got started, and Manish Sisodia was the one who informed us, putting a tweet out that CBI officers have basically reached his house and are basically searching the premise. If you can see the activities inside, because we have been told that CBI officers may leave in some time from now, and they are still searching for some sort of documents, some sort of evidences in concern with the excise policy, and the FIR that is registered in this particular case. In that FIR, in fact, Manish Sisodia is one of the accused.
The BJP lashed out and accused the Aam Aadmi Party of causing a huge loss to the exchequer.
जिस दिन सीबीआई को जांच दी, उसी दिन शराब नीति को वापस लिया। ये शिक्षा नहीं, ये शराब की बात हो रही है।
ये दिल्ली के शिक्षा मॉडल पे खबर छपी है।
But Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal came out in Sisodia's defense and accused the centre of sending CBI to his doorstep only because Sisodia's picture was printed on the front page of the New York Times.
पूरी दुनिया के सबसे शक्तिशाली देश के सबसे बड़े अखबार के फ्रंट पेज के ऊपर भारत के बारे में इतनी अच्छी खबर छपना, दिल्ली के बारे में इतनी अच्छी खबर छपना, इस खबर में मनीष सिसोदिया जी की फोटो छपी है। आज मनीष सिसोदिया को दुनिया का सबसे अच्छा शिक्षा मंत्री घोषित किया गया, लेकिन उसके घर सीबीआई पहुंच के रेड मारने के लिए।
But the BJP countered this by showing that the same news article was printed in the Khalij Times.
न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स में जो ये आर्टिकल जो छपा है, जिसके आधार पर ये वर्ल्ड क्लास एजुकेशन मॉडल की बातें कर रहे हैं, ऐसा ही हूबहू आर्टिकल खलीज टाइम्स में छपा है और यहां तक कि फोटोज और वर्ड्स भी सेम हैं।
The new excise policy was introduced in November last year and saw a big jump in private players with licenses selling alcohol. But the Delhi LG Vinay Kumar Saxena recommended a CBI probe, accusing AAP of bringing the excise policy with the sole aim of benefiting private liquor barons. Then on the 30th of July, Manish Sisodia announced a rollback of the policy.
शिक्षा और स्वास्थ्य के इनके मॉडल को बर्बाद करो, इनके मंत्रियों को गिरफ्तार करो, ताकि केजरीवाल मॉडल बर्बाद हो जाए, अरविंद केजरीवाल खत्म हो जाए। ये भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सोच है, प्रधानमंत्री जी की सोच है।
The CBI alleges that private parties who were awarded licenses included many ineligible vendors who paid bribes to the Delhi government. So are the raids against Sisodia valid or is it political vendetta?
All right, on the big talking point this evening here on Brass Tacks, RP Singh is BJP spokesperson, Dr. Shama Mohammed, spokesperson of the Congress Party, Smita Prakash, editor ANI, Yashwardhan Azad, former IPS officer, Priyanka Kakkar is a spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party, and Kapil Sankla, lawyer with the Supreme Court. Let me start with Priyanka Kakkar because a majority of the questions you'll have to face today If this liquor policy, the new liquor policy, was not a scam, and if it was successful, as you claim it was, then A, why was it revoked after 8 months? And secondly, what happened to the amount of 144.36 crore, a waiver which was given to private players on the tendered license fee under the excuse of the COVID-19 pandemic? Can you please explain both of this to our viewers? Because questions are being asked of your party and of your Deputy Chief Minister today.
Absolutely, Zakka. Zakka, coming to your first question, the new liquor policy is in suspension for 6 months currently, as we know. It is in suspension for 6 months currently because you see, even today when the FIR happened, there are several public officers named in it, and it creates an acrimonious atmosphere. Nobody wants to auction the vends anymore. The vendors do not want to come forward. Nobody wants to auction these vends, as a result of which there are only 250 liquor vends in Delhi right now, instead of the sanctioned 850. So the policy is in suspension for 6 months. That is one thing. Secondly, Zakka, you asked me about 144 crore. Where is the scam? If one has returned the fees due to COVID waiver back to the vendors, 144 crores, where is the scam? The BJP also should come clean. What come clean? It is something that every government department has done owing to the COVID pandemic. The BJP returned the toll tax fare. It reduced there. It reduced there. There's another one, the advertisement, the outdoor advertisement. That money was returned to the advertisers by the BJP, by the MCD, because of the COVID restrictions, because of this.
No, ma'am, there is one difference. I'll come back to that difference in just a moment. But I have my colleague Yash, who is joining us live from Manish Sisodia's residence. So I want to go to him first. Yash, so it's been 12 hours plus 12 and a half hours now. Are the raids still going on? And can you, for the benefit of our viewers, tell us what exactly is the CBI looking for, and what have they found so far in these last 12 hours?
Well, Zakka, you rightly said that it's been more than 12 hours, and actually it's been nearly 13 hours since the raids began here at Manish Sisodia's residence. First, I will give you the chronology of events which unfolded in the last hour or so. Some time back, we saw some of the CBI officials walking from the first floor to the ground floor, and then again they went back to the first floor. And what we have also given to understand is that the raids are in its last leg, and any minute from now the raids will be over and the CBI officials will be leaving from Manish Sisodia's residence. I'll ask my camera person, Mr. Satish, to show you the visuals from the residence of Manish Sisodia, where the CBI is currently conducting raids. And to answer your second question, what the CBI has said, that they have found some evidence and some digital recordings which they are actually verifying over here right now, and they will be also verifying it. They will be verifying the evidence later also when they will be leaving from the residence of Manish Sisodia. The entire sequence of events I'll narrate. The CBI teams reached here at around 8:30, and around 1 p.m. the teams also came down to find something in Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia's car. We saw some of the officials searching for some sort of documents in his car, and they found something. And we also saw them taking some of the packets with them inside Manish Sisodia's residence. Right now, what we are understanding is that then the raids are continuing, and they are in its last leg. Any moment from now, the raids will be over, and the CBI is, what we are understanding, will taking those evidence which they have gathered from Manish Sisodia's residence. They will be verifying those evidence, and further action will be taken as per what will be found in those particular evidence.
Okay, we'll see how that story plays out. For the moment, thanks very much, Yash. We'll come back to you as and when these officials leave and the search for the day concludes. But I want to come back to Priyanka Kakkar. No, the problem with this 144 crores, Priyanka Kakkar, is that this was given as a waiver to all the other bidders other than the highest bidder, because they were supposedly not able to procure some clearances from the Airports Authority of India. Now, you please explain to me, why should the government repay private players because some of those private players were not able to get the requisite sanctions. That's not the government's fault.
No. I will read it out to you, Zakka. I'll read it out to you. It'll be very clear once I read it out. The department allowed waiver on tendered license fee on account of COVID-19 pandemic during the period 28/12/2021 to 27/1/2022. Despite the fact that there is no specific provision for compensation, that's all right. That is not. This resulted in a loss of 144.36 crore. It is not about what you are mentioning is something separate. This 144 crore was returned owing to the COVID pandemic, as did BJP with several of its vendors.
Okay. RP Singh respond. No, the question. No, one second. Let me ask my question. My question is very simple. If you are saying there is corruption that has happened, you need to, or at least the CBI needs to prove that there was money that was public money, exchequer money, that went to these private players, and these private players then transferred some of that money to the public officials, including Manish Sisodia, as a quid pro quo. So please tell me, where is that trail of money from the private players back to the public officials?
Okay, that means, Zakka, the Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson, Madam Kakkar, and you both are accepting that, yes, the money was given back, and that comes under corrupt mean. You mix up two, that you were mentioning about the airport is 30 crore rupees. The L1 was allotted to someone. The earnest money was paid by that person. That earnest money was paid back. Nowhere in the world history ever for any
RP Singh ji, where is the scam? What's the scam?
Ma'am, one second. Let him respond. उसके बाद मैं आपके पास वापस आऊँगा. हाँ, RP Singh.
जाका, हमारे यहाँ पंजाबी में कहावत है, लुच्चा सबसे उच्चा. Don't take it personal, ma'am. This is a कहावत है. So let me complete, and then you have all the right to speak. So the issue is, ma'am, please, मैम आपको नहीं टोका ना, मैंने आपको फिर अच्छी दिख रहा है कि आप मतलब मैं कह दूंगा कुछ और आप उसमें छटपटाएंगे.
नहीं, मेरिट पे आइए आप.
मैं मेरिट पे I was talking about the merit only. So 30 crore rupees was given back to the L1 who couldn't fulfill the conditions which he was required to. That was regarding the airport.
Yes.
And another is 144.36, which she is mentioning that it was waived off because of the corona. But for both of them, they need to take a cabinet approval. The problem is they went for cabinet approval on 14th of July after 8th July when the
policy
Chief
was already
Secretary
announced.
raised a red flag. Chief Secretary raised the objection to that, but they have announced it earlier. But they went for a post facto approval. No cabinet note has given authority to Mr. Sisodia to shout out or give relief to anyone on behalf of the government of Delhi. So it's a clear case of corruption. As for quid pro, it will come. That's what CBI is trying to work on. That where is the quid pro and how the quid pro has happened.
Let me ask.
Give me another second. Zakka, another second.
Okay.
And then this whole of the drama and show of that ad, New York Times and Kharif Times. Sir, Yaka, we know how to. I worked in advertising world and I've been in newspaper also. How do editorials are published? You ask Madam Kakkar, letter pay 13 crore rupees to me, not to me, to New York Times. They'll publish a full page ad, editorial, not ad, advertorial for Mrs. Kakkar.
Sir, anyway, I don't want to be. It's not my job. I don't represent the New York Times. I don't want to be defending them. But this, as I understand, was an article written by a reporter based here in Delhi. But that's not the moot point. The moot point is corruption. That's the allegation from the CBI and from the BJP. The Aam Aadmi Party is asking, where is the corruption? This is the case of political vendetta. But be that as it may, I want to ask Shama Mohammed a simple question. Kejriwal today came out and had a video interaction, and he basically said that on the day that the world is praising Delhi's education model, there's this article in the New York Times. There are two things that the Delhi model is known for. One is education, the other is health. The health minister is already in jail. The education minister, there were raids today. Maybe he might also go to jail. Who knows? So his contention is this is the BJP's way of destroying the Kejriwal model or the Delhi model. Please respond.
Raj, Zakka, couple of points here. First and foremost, let's understand this policy. Manish Sisodia got it last December. Now, my question today to the Aam Aadmi Party is, when you get a policy, you do it. When the governor notices certain loopholes, why did Mr. Sisodia take back the policy and go back to the old? Now, if he had stuck to this policy and said, no, there is nothing, no wrongdoing in this policy, I'm going to continue with it, we'll understand that there is no corruption in it. But what is the one which really pointed out is one most important thing is waiving the tendering license in 2021 December. Why did you waiver that license? He said because of COVID. And then when they went back to the old policy, what did they do? The compensation comes of that 142.4 crore from the exchequer. Why did he waive it off in the first place? Because of COVID. That is rubbish. Then they give off the excise duty not paid for one case of beer, you have to pay 50 rupees. That has been waived off without any of, going through any of those, what is in the policy or not. So many loopholes in this one. Number two, I remember Arvind Kejriwal in 2015 when some Asim Ali Khan or somebody he asked him to resign. He said, even if Manish Sisodia is caught, I will ask him to resign. Now, there is Mr. Singla he asked to step down. But what we notice is Satyendra Jain, who's been in jail for a long time. Manish Sisodia, a lot of allegations against him. Why are people close to Arvind Kejriwal not asked to step down? Now, that is what one needs to know. What are the secrets they hold? So this itself gives us to a huge suspicion that there is something, dal mein kuch kala hai. Otherwise, he wouldn't have taken back the policy and gone back to the old policy.
No. So I come back to that. On July 30th, Manish Sisodia himself held a press conference and took back this policy. And ostensibly, the reason why this policy was taken back, Smita Prakash, is because it failed. 30% of the private players who were given liquor vends licenses in the policy of 21-22, 30% of them shut shop because it was simply not competitive enough. It didn't make any business sense for them to continue. That's why they shut shop. Now, I'm coming to a larger question, and the larger question is this. Now, it's become a political sort of football between the BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party. Aam Aadmi Party is saying, look, they've gone after TMC, they've gone after Congress, they're only going after opposition parties, so we're next in line, they're coming after us. The BJP is saying, why don't you let the law take its own course? A, why was Manish Sisodia giving off waivers to private players? B, why was earnest money being returned back to private players? And the contention of the CBI that these private players were then routing back this money to the public officials who changed the policy. So there was a quid pro quo.
Could I say something now?
Look, Zakka, I think today all day long you've heard accusations. All day long you've heard accusations and press conferences both saying against each other. So there's no point for me to repeat, I think, what they have said. All the speakers before me have said it. So let me just say this, that, what happened today, whether it holds in court or not, but what has happened is that it's a dent on this anti-corruption plank of the Kejriwal government or Aam Aadmi Party, because that's what brought them to politics in the first place. Yeah. Forget about winning elections and coming into government. I mean, the war of words that happened today, it's quite clear that, and in fact, it was said openly today. The Aam Aadmi Party has said that Kejriwal is a contender for 2024 against Modi, and that's why all this is happening. They are there in 1.5 states, and they want to now get into Gujarat and Himachal. Now, Gujarat is the BJP citadel, right? It's the home state of Narendra Modi and Amit Shah. So quite clearly, the Aam Aadmi Party, when it says that it wants to replace BJP in Gujarat, it made it clear that it is all gloves off. They are ready to battle, and that is why you are seeing that today they came out like in full force, whereas the BJP just left the defense to its spokespersons and to its Delhi unit. But it's an example of what is going to be coming in the days before the Gujarat and Himachal elections, which is a lot of verbal bombing like you have seen in the press conferences and TV debates today. The Aam Aadmi Party is certainly fighting this more aggressively as compared to what the TMC did when the raids happened.
I want to know one thing. Yes, you're right. Aam Aadmi Party is ruling in 1.5 states. They've just won Punjab. Delhi is, of course, is half a state. It's not a full state. They went with a lot of pomp and a lot of expectations in Goa. I think they ended up getting 2 seats or 3. I'm not sure what the exact number was. They fought in Uttarakhand. They did not get a single seat. Where is this hype coming from, both in Gujarat as well as in Himachal Pradesh? Because like you said, Gujarat has been the citadel of the BJP for the last 30 years. Even the Congress party has not been able to unseat them, let alone the Aam Aadmi Party. So where is this fear that AAP going national or AAP wanting to go national will somehow be a threat to the BJP? Where is that coming from?
Can I answer that, Zakka?
Smita.
Well, Icarus also soared, right? So they have a right to fight for it, and you have to give them credit that they are the only ones who have come out in the open and said that we are taking on the BJP. I think more so because when there was talk about Nitish Kumar becoming a opposition, or there was just talk, don't know whether it's going to happen, but this talk about a universal opposition candidate, here is Aam Aadmi Party saying, no, it's going to be us. We are the only ones who have. They may fail in their task, they may fail in it, but at least they are attempting. In 2014, they got egg on their face when they attempted that. There was this huge wave for Narendra Modi. But after, 5 years, it's going to be an uphill task for the BJP, but already snapping at its heels is the Aam Aadmi Party, despite all these raids which are happening. And as I said, that, when Modi said that there is, on 15th August, Zakka, just a couple of seconds ago, on 15th August, when he talked about the war against corruption and saying that it is a termite eating into the country, he didn't mean just in Kolkata. We are seeing that it's not just Partha and it's not just Anubrata, it's going to be more than that. It's Satyendra Jain, it's Anil Deshmukh, Nawab Malik, Sanjay Raut, and now even Sisodia.
Okay, let me ask Yashwardhan Azad. No, one second, Dr. Shama Mohammad, I'm going turn by turn. I'll come back to you if you have an interruption. No, I'm not going to break turn. I'm sorry. No, I'm not going to break turn. I'm going to Yashwardhan Azad. I'm asking him a question. Yashwardhan Azad, the question is to him. Yashwardhan Azad, it is a question of an investigation. Now, I want to know, one of the contentions that's there in the CBI's FIR is that the private players who benefited because of this new excise policy, one of the companies happened to be a blacklisted company. Now, this was one of the 5 major companies that got these private licenses when the excise policy changed. But how a government blacklisted company managed to get these licenses, that has not been explained in any of these government papers. So, is that also a matter of investigation as to not only favoring private players, but private players who had a checkered record, if you will?
There are a couple of points I want to make. And the first is there are too many extraneous factors which have been brought into the debate. And finally, you've asked me something which is very, very focused. Now, first, there was a conscious policy on the part of AAP to bring in private players, and I fully support that in 847 vends or whatever number there is, that there should be complete private players, because government has no business to get into the problem of selling liquor. Number 2, when the Chief Secretary did the preliminary inquiry, he came up with a lot of procedural lapses. One of them was that how it was given to the blacklisted people. Second was also that the matter was not written to the cabinet. Third was also the permission was not taken from the LG. Now, next point is that this 38 crores we are talking about, 148 crores we were talking about, it was a conscious government policy which is right there on paper. Now, I understand that the excise department and the transport department work like electoral bonds for the state governments. That's true. But the important point here is that because they have instituted cases under the Prevention of Corruption Act, a criminal conspiracy, and 477A, it has to be proved that there was transfer of money. And I suppose CBI, when it says that it has got some incriminating documents, then some of this is prima facie true, and that is why they are going ahead with this investigation. What I don't follow is why the AAP government is then not releasing a position paper or say a white paper or given a press conference, the reasons. Because the reasons given for, just saying that we're withdrawing the policy because they think that it is not profitable. It is your policy. If you've suffered a loss, it's fine. But there should be a clear enunciation.
No. So here's the problem. Yashwardhan Azad, on the one hand, they are saying that revenues that came from excise has gone up by 1,300 crores. So the revenues went up. But at the same time, it's also a fact that 30% of the new vends shut down within a year because it was not profitable. So either this policy was for increasing revenues, whereby that purpose was achieved, or it was for making liquor more freely available in Delhi, which was not the case because 30% of the shops shut. So either this policy is a failure or it's not. And by revoking it within 8 months, I guess it's tacit admission that the policy failed.
Zakka, you let me answer, please.
I'll come to you.
policy can fail. Any policy can fail. But if the revenue has gone up by 27%, then the objective has been achieved. So what is left? What is left? It has to be proved that the Prevention of Corruption Act, that somebody has benefited from the officials or the ministers. And that is what the CBI is looking into.
So let me ask Kapil Sankla. Again, I'm going by, as per the CBI FIR. The CBI FIR says there was a gentleman by name Mr. Arora. There are two Aroras. One of them runs one of the largest private liquor vends in Delhi. He is alleged in the CBI FIR as the person who was collecting cash on behalf of Manish Sisodia. They have also cited one bank account and a one check transaction of 1 crore rupees, which has gone back from this Mr. Arora to the bank account of one of the three IAS officials who were also named in this FIR. My question to you, Kapil, is the link between this said Mr. Arora, and there are pictures of him with Mr. Kejriwal, with Mr. Sisodia, so on and so forth, but to establish a money trail that money from Mr. Arora went back into either the Aam Aadmi Party's funds or went into Mr. Sisodia's account, that has not been established, certainly not in the FIR. Maybe they will find out through the discussion. How important is that to proving a case of corruption, as Yashwardhan Azad was saying, against Manish Sisodia?
So there are three things, Zakka. First, an FIR is not an encyclopedia. It is just a complaint that a cognizable offence has taken place. It is a matter of investigation, and the investigation gets concluded when the charge sheet is filed. And there's a lot of time for that because the investigation is at a very preliminary stage. So the argument today is that the FIR is silent as to X, Y, Z, and therefore the investigation should shut down. That is not the purpose. That cannot be. The second thing to also answer as far as corruption is concerned, and what Ms. Priyanka Kakkar had said, that where is the scam? The scam is very clear in the act itself. You see, she has admitted that there was a waiver of 144.36, if I'm not wrong, crore, of which 30 crore was of the lowest bidder were refunded back because the NOC was not obtained. You also asked this question. She said there is no scam as far as that is concerned. The scam comes from the fact that the Delhi excise rules of 2010 stipulate in the rule 48 something, I think 4811B, that in such a case where a successful bidder a bid has been made successful, he has to complete all the formalities for grant of the license. And the deposit made by him shall stand forfeited if he is unable to, or he fails to get all the permissions, etc. And that's the law. Having failed that, the state government or the politicians had no business in either waiving or refunding that money, because that itself was a part of now public exchange.
No, so I'll ask Priyanka that, but Kapil, can I just press on that point? Yes, there is a question mark over why that money was waived off, why it was given back to the private players, because the rules clearly state that deposit money need not be revoked because the fault is with the private player. He was not able to get all the clearances, right? That's a perfectly legitimate question. But my question to you is, Section 7 of the Prevention of Corruption Act has been invoked in the FIR, which means government officials getting a quid pro quo or a bribe. Now, how is the CBI going to prove that this 144 crores came back either to Mr. Sisodia or to the ARP funds or to the other public officials who've been named? That is the crux of the matter.
That's the third limb of what I was saying. The third limb is this, that Prevention of Corruption Act is a special act, and it's very interesting. CBI has to meet a prima facie case, and thereafter the onus shifts. The prima facie case is proved not in the FIR but in the charge sheet that would be filed. And as I said, there is some time before the charge sheet comes, which is the culmination of investigation. The investigation is at a very, very initial stage. It's at baby foot right now. So wait for that, and then the question of argument on charge after the charge sheet is filed would come. So this question right now is premature. We should actually have to wait for the charge sheet to be filed. And if there is any doubt before that, if it is such a big thing, then you can always file for question. You're not doing for question.
There was no need, and in fact, the government is explicitly barred by the Delhi excise rules, Rule 48 that Kapil is citing, from having to return the deposit money back to private players, whoever is not the lowest bidder, because of their fault, because they were not able to get other requisite governmental clearances.
Fine, Zakka, please be patient with me for 2 minutes now.
Minutes.
There are two separate allegations. Let's not mix both of them. Actually, there is no such allegation in the FIR, but two separate allegations that have been leveled at the Aam Aadmi Party by the BJP. One is of 30 crores, which is that earnest money which has been refunded because the bidder could not get the requisite NOC from the airport authority. One is that. The second one is 144 crores. Everyone is mixing the two, I saw. So with respect to the 144 crores, it is very clear. It says in the papers also that it has been waived off due to COVID pandemic, just like the BJP did with its agencies, other vendors. They have waived off due for that period. They waived off extensive, exorbitant license fee for several of its vendors. I have a list. I'm not going into that. Then when it comes to either of these allegations, either of them, like Kapil Sanklaji also mentioned, it is a very prima facie case. This is not a scam. If you return the money to the vendor, you have to have some quid pro quo. The FIR does not mention a single instance of any money going to Manish Ji's account. There is one account that you mentioned, which you mentioned is of an IAS officer, 1 crore rupee. From what I understand, it will be very strange that he is taking corruption money in the bank account. But let's wait for the charge sheet, like he said. So we'll wait for that. Coming to what Shamaji was saying, the problem has started because you'll recall when the PM visited US for several conferences, he was not even covered in a single newspaper. Not a single newspaper.
What did I say?
Now,
what are you talking about? I'm sorry. Don't put words in my mouth. I haven't said any of those
Okay,
things.
okay. One second. I'll come back to you, Shama. Let her finish. Let her finish, please. Yeah, let her finish. I'll come back to you. Yeah,
that doesn't work.
Yeah. Let her finish. Yeah.
Okay.
Priyanka.
So
please,
possibly,
bring a book also and write down like
I am not able to see the screen. Possibly Smita ji said this.
Okay.
The problem began when PM visited the US for conferences and was not covered in a single newspaper, and the New York Times, which happens to be which it's unfortunate that even the New York Times has to come out with a clarification and say it's a genuine piece. And look at the BJP. They're citing another paper which ran the same report saying that we are copying word to word from New York Times. Uski last line mein likha hai ye baat. So it's an embarrassing moment for India. मतलब थोड़ा सा अगर दिल्ली मॉडल की वजह से पूरी दुनिया में वाहवाही हुई है, तो everyone should be proud. They should not come down heavily on the paper which published it. There were so many Kotler awards.
Syndication बोलते हैं, वो बड़ा legitimate ये है. But anyway, let's leave that aside. You still have not answered the basic question, ma'am. In which rule of the Delhi Excise Act does it say that deposit money needs to be given back to all the other bidders other than L1? Because it doesn't say that.
Zakka, I am saying that the question of 144 crores is
30 crore
owing to 30 crore.
आरपी साहब एक सेकंड वो खत्म तो करें आरपी साहब वो खत्म करें, उसके बाद आपके पास आ रहा हूँ, आप ही के पास आ रहा हूँ सर, आप ही के पास आ रहा हूँ. 30 सेकंड दे दीजिए. प्रियंका फिनिश.
आरपी सिंह अगर
No, she's not running away. She's right here. She's right here. आप 30 सेकंड तो दे दो. सरदार साहब आप 30 सेकंड तो दे दो, वो खत्म करें. आप ही के पास आ रहा हूँ. हाँ, प्रियंका फिनिश.
इतना उत्तेजित अगर ये नकली शराब की बिक्री से लोगों की मौत हुई है जो गुजरात में, उस पे होते तो इंडिया वुड बी
इधर उधर की बात मत करो.
आ रही हूँ.
घोटाला की बात करो.
Okay, Priyanka finish. Yes, stick to the Delhi issue, please.
Yeah. Not bringing in Rohingyas, not bringing in Gujarat. Okay. So, Shamaji also mentioned why have they continued and why are they not stepping down? I don't know where they get the moral authority. Ajay Mishra Teni continues to be a minister, with whatever happened. There was another question. There was another comment by Shamaji, I think, which I agree with, that the BJP has trying to cause a dent to our image for the longest time. And it started with summoning Somnath Bharti.
Listen, Zakka, she cannot just keep telling Shamaji said this and Shamaji said that. I did not say that.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm not able to see the screen.
One of the panelists said. One of the panelists said. Okay, Priyanka. Okay, correct yourself again. One of the panelists said.
one of the panelists.
Okay, Shama, I heard you. Shama, I've heard you. One of the panelists said, okay.
If you're not able to debate, please don't come to debate.
Finish the point, please.
Next time you have a screen in front of you.
Finish the point, please.
Whoever said,
Thank you. Okay. Yes, Shama, thank you. Shama, please.
I'll just take 1 minute with Priyanka after this.
Get your head
After
checked.
Priyanka is over.
She'll never forget your name after this, I can assure you that.
Get your head checked.
Okay.
Zakka,
I want to go to
Priyanka.
RP Singh.
Zakka, can I just say this very quickly?
Yeah, very quickly. Okay, Kapil. Yeah.
Priyanka is a very bright lawyer. She just missed out on one point. She said, where is the quid pro quo? You also have to understand that Section 7 clearly says there could also be an anticipation to an undue advantage at some future date. So you cannot just say that there has to be an immediate advantage. I just wanted to tell you that's what the law is.
Fair enough. Okay, RP Singh.
We cannot assume right now. We cannot assume right now.
Absolutely, that's the part of investigation.
RP Singh, ये बताइए कि where is this public official other than this one instance that's been cited और वो भी check से दिया गया मतलब रिश्वत check से थोड़ी ना देते हैं सर.
सर जाका वो 30 करोड़ वाली बात बोल कर गई 144.37 करोड़ की क्या कि हमने कोरोना में माफ कर दिया उसके लिए भी कैबिनेट अप्रूवल जरूरी होती है द कैबिनेट अप्रूवल इज मैंडेटरी फॉर दैट दे नेवर टू दैट
GNCTD act is pending in court.
Ma'am, let him finish. He didn't interrupt you, so let him finish.
Oh, he did.
No, I stopped him from, but let him finish.
30 करोड़ की बात ये करेंगे नहीं क्योंकि 30 करोड़ में जेब में पैसे गए मैं कह रहा हूँ और मेरा ख्याल मुकदमा कर देना. मैं अगली बात कह रहा हूँ ये 2 नोट्स हैं मेरे पास ये 25/10/2021 के 2 नोट है इनके मंत्रालय के नोट है. एक नोट बड़ा स्पष्ट कहता है अरे एक मिनट में छोड़िए मैडम आपका जितना करियर नहीं उससे ज्यादा होगी मुझे पार्टी में काम करते और सामाजिक जीवन में काम करते हुए तो उतनी आपकी उम्र नहीं होगी. ये नोट क्लियरली कह रहा है कि ब्लैक लिस्टेड कंपनी इनकी सरकार का नोट है. ये 25/10 का नोट है. नरेंद्र सिंह इनके असिस्टेंट कमिश्नर है वो कह रहे हैं कि एक ब्लैक लिस्टेड कंपनी है उसका नाम है खाओ गली रेस्टोरेंट उसको इन्होंने टेंडर दे दिया. दूसरा उसी अधिकारी का नोट है. दूसरा सेकंड नोट बाय द सेम ऑफिसर ही सेज दिस अ कार्टेल he mentioned about that some Rama Reddy some Manjutto Agrofarm there's a note and Mr. Sisodia don't have time to take action against that. ये भी पूछा जाएगा सीबीआई से चिंता मत करिए पूछ रही होगी सीबीआई और
मिस्टर सिसोदिया को जवाब देना 30 करोड़ पे आ गए हैं. आप 144 से 30 करोड़ पे आ गए हैं ये क्लियर हो गया है.
अरे आप 30 करोड़ का जवाब देंगे 144 करोड़ का भी आपका कैबिनेट अप्रूवल नहीं था. You never had a cabinet approval of 144.36 crore. But आप 30 करोड़ का जवाब दे दीजिए जिसका L1 हो उसका अर्नेस्ट मनी दुनिया के किसी प्रोसेस में मेरा चैलेंज स्वीकार करना. अगर दुनिया के किसी प्रोसेस में टेंडर का पैसा अर्नेस्ट मनी वापस दिया जा सकता है और ये मत कहना वापस है न्यूयॉर्क टाइम 13.5 करोड़ पे भेज देना कल आपका फुल पेज ऐड छाप दूंगा फ्रंट पेज पे.
No. One second. Priyanka, I think the question that you need to answer is the Chief Secretary, no less, had written this to the LG that as per Rule 57 of TOBR 1993, any deviation from laid down procedure needs to be flagged to the Lieutenant Governor. And he said that there were flagrant violations of Delhi Excise Act of 2009. It's basis the Chief Secretary's report that the LG then intimated this to the CBI. So the Chief Secretary can't also be wrong.
You know, it says
Zakka,
I am instructed to state. Anyway, I will just take you to a larger point, Zakka. The GNCTD Act is pending before the court, and it will be incorrect of
No, I'm instructed to state का क्या है? मतलब
ये लिखा हुआ है. ये लेटर में लिखा है. ये लेटर में लिखा है. I'm instructed to state.
Okay.
ये लेटर में लिखा है.
Okay.
तो लिखने से क्या होता है ना?
Shama Mohammed, the argument being made by Priyanka and her party is there were waivers given to the hospitality sector, restaurants, hotels, etc. There were waivers given to cinema houses. So why not give waivers to the liquor industry as well? After all, they also suffered during the lockdown.
30 crore.
144
crore. Dr. Shama Mohammed. Dr. Shama Mohammed.
No, can I speak?
Yeah.
Was wavered, before I come into it, I want to tell the lady who's the second spokesperson here from ANI of the Bharatiya Janata Party.
Arey, come
that,
on,
you
come
know,
on, come on,
yeah,
Shama,
Aam
don't do
Aadmi
this.
Party is the
Don't do
only-
this. No, come on, this is,
No, she can't
this
keep
is
putting
uncalled
the
for. It's
Congress
low
down.
bro,
We
it's
have
below
been
the belt.
protesting on the
Why are
street,
you doing this?
and she says the
Why
only
are you
opposition
doing
is
this?
the Aam Aadmi Party.
No, what
Did
will
I
it
say
take
anything
for,
about
what
you
will it
being-
take for Smita to
No,
make
no,
the same
no.
personal
I'm
attack
sorry,
against
I
you?
will
Why
not
are you
accept
doing
this.
this? No, this is,
So
sorry, no,
please do
no,
not
no,
come
I'm
as
sorry.
a-
This is
No
wrong.
personal attack.
Absolutely
No,
wrong.
no,
Did
this
I
is
say
ridiculous.
anything about
No,
you?
no,
Sisodia,
sorry.
you said
Shama,
the
no,
only
not
opposition is
called for
Aam
at all.
I heard you getting
Not
clearly.
called for at all.
What did I say about the
Absolutely
Congress?
Let me
personal,
finish my
absolutely uncalled for.
What
Sorry, I'm
did I
sorry.
say about
Not
the
acceptable.
Congress that you have
Speak
got
on
so
merit,
upset?
please. Speak on merit. Speak on merit.
Times, the
Speak on
lady from
merit.
ANI. That's all I would say.
Okay.
Now, what I
Sorry.
point is,
You just go on
You
making
have said this
personal
multiple
attacks
times
against
in our
anybody
debate.
and everybody. You have no control over your mouth.
No. You have no control because you said the principal opposition is the Aam Aadmi Party. It is not. It's a Congress party. We've been fighting on the street. So you don't have to sideline the Congress party. Which
I did not say that. I said the Aam Aadmi
not
Party
going to stand
says
for
that it is.
Sitting on a
You
channel.
did not hear what I said.
I
You
heard
don't
you
hear
very
what
well,
other
loud
people
and
say.
clear.
You only come
So
here
Zakka,
and make
this is
personal
my
remarks.
point. Please ask the lady to
Okay.
be quiet.
No
It's my
personal
turn,
attacks.
let me
Please
speak.
stick to the subject. Stick
Yeah,
to
so
the
what I
merits of
wanted
the
to
matter,
say
please.
was
Yes.
the thing is when
I
you
will not. Why should I allow her
140
when she makes personal remarks?
140 crore. See, she's getting upset because she knows the truth. 140 crore has been waived off, and why has the
Of course I will. When you question my integrity,
Why?
I will get upset because it
Why?
matters to me, madam.
Why is the exchequer asked to pay this amount? I mean, you can't change policy. If you have changed the policy, why do you go back to the 2010? Correct whatever is wrong in this policy. Okay, they say the policy failed. Why do you go back to the 2010 policy? Because you got scared. There is something to hide in this. That is the thing. You have to understand that.
No, one second.
has been waived,
Changing
and-
policy is not evidence of corruption.
No,
All
changing-
governments change
going
policy.
back to the 2010, 1 minute. Zakka,
Yeah,
let me-
that's fair enough. No. Where is the evidence of corruption?
No, that's
All
what I'm
governments
saying.
change policy.
No, I'm saying there is an investigation going on. So nobody is saying that. What I'm trying to say is when Mr. Arvind Kejriwal came on the basis of Lokpal, let's not forget that we enacted the Lokpal, the Congress party, the UPA. Where is the Lokpal right now? He should ask them to step down when there is such serious allegations against them. Satyendra Jain and Manish Sisodia, ask them to step down from their ministry. Let
Okay,
the
I'll give the final word. I'll give the final word to Smita. I got to wrap up in a minute, please. Yeah, Smita.
Yeah, it's very easy for these spokespersons, who have no integrity of their own to come and attack the media just because we are saying something. The Congress party is not ready right now. It is the Aam Aadmi Party which is making the attempt to take on Mr. Modi. And as far as this case is concerned, I think the lawyer was very right when he said that the money trail is important and the investigation will take time. But so far as the image of the Aam Aadmi Party is concerned, it has got dented because of this, because it's all about perception. Dr. Manmohan Singh, even in 2013, had said that they had lost the perception war, and the perception is extremely important when it comes to elections. As far as the Aam Aadmi Party is concerned, today they have to fight that perception war because these raids are having that effect their integrity is under question.
Can I ask one question? Isn't there a perception that the BJP is using these agencies just to settle political scores? How come these agencies never raid anybody of the BJP the party? All the raids seem to be with the opposition. Isn't that also a perception?
Absolutely.
Can I answer that?
I'll come to you. Let
the
her
BJP
answer.
has to answer that. The BJP has to answer that and not me. The
Fair
BJP has to answer that and not me. And here again, I'm saying that the BJP will be going into an election mode where they will be questioned by all the political parties as to why not them. And then they have to come out with an explanation as to why they are sparkling clean and none of their people have been
Okay, Yashu Azad and Kapil, 30 seconds each. I really have to wrap up. I'm completely out of time. Yashu Azad first, please. Yeah.
You can't, on a presumption that something has happened quid pro quo, just register a case. No matter whether the waiver is right or wrong, and I'm not supporting it or not saying anything against it, but it was a conscious government policy, like throwing away previes like. But the question is, unless you have got some kind of, you can't chase the money trail, you can't go on fishing. Therefore, the FIR should have been registered after the CBI had got some incriminating evidence already about the quid pro quo,
Okay.
and then the registration of case under
Kapil,
PCI.
Kapil, final word, 30 seconds.
No, I'm sorry, but that's incorrect. That's incorrect. You see, when there is an allegation, and there is any merit in an allegation, even if there is no complete evidence, but a prima facie small inkling of it, an FIR has to be registered for the process of investigation to go on. It could be CBI in a prevention of corruption matter or any other. So in a case where there's a strong allegation that due process of law, just a minute, sir, I'm just talking of law, where due process of law has not been followed, an FIR would be registered to see whether due process of law has been followed or not followed,
Okay.
and whether there was any mala fide or quid pro quo.
Okay, I got to wrap up. Thank you very much to all our guests. I'll leave it at that. Like I said, I don't think we've heard the last word yet on this, politically or legally speaking, for that matter. We'll take a quick break. When we come back on the other side, it was Janmashtami today, and the Dahi Handi has returned to Mumbai in some style. It's returned after a gap of 2 years. Big celebrations there in the city. We'll get you some of those pictures right on the other side when Brass Tacks returns.